Welcome to Eviliv, the live media commentary show that answers the question: does this film make the previous film's brother a Nephilim as well? Subscribe if you're new to the channel because today we are reviewing the Prophecy 5 Forsaken. That's right, this is the last prophecy film ever made, probably because of this. There may have been a third, there may have been others, explorations into the prophecy series, but this one kind of put the nail in the coffin, as it were. My initial thoughts of this are it it's not very good at all. And it's frustrating because it does have some good actors in it and it has some good potential, but the location always lets it down, and the scope of it is so tiny that normally I like that about horror films, but there's no suspense in this one, even when there should be. It's filmed very poorly. And I think that's really what it comes down to. All right, so those are my initial thoughts. This is released September 6, 2005. It was written and directed by Joel Soisson. And the log line is, young Allison continues to run from Satan's evil angels while hanging onto an ancient lexicon that foretells the identity of the Antichrist, joined by a hitman who has a change of heart and comes to her aid. And that whole first part of that is a lie. That's not what it's about at all. Young Allison continues to run from angels, not Satan's evil angels from heaven. Satan has little to nothing to do with this one, except that he makes a cameo. The same Satan from the previous film, which is awesome. But still, like, it's a total lie. Okay, so it is all about the lexicon. And the whole premise is that in the last film, she took possession of the lexicon. The angel Simon as sort of guiding her on when to move and leave, and he was sort of overlooking her. In this, it's actually at the very end revealed that Simon's her father. She's actually a Nephilim, which is why I had that question at the top of the show, because it never led to that at all in the previous film. It's just sort of something they threw in at this end of this script for literally no reason. It doesn't make it better. It doesn't really explain why she's lived until the very end. And even then, there's no reason because she doesn't do anything else. Like, her role is done. So why even make her a Nephilim? It doesn't make any sense. And what does that mean? So to be a Nephilim, it means that one of your parents is an angel and the other is a woman, a human woman, right? And so her mom is really her mom, but her dad's not really her dad, whom she watched get murdered in some gulag mansion that's now a tether for Satan, for hell. And her brother, who literally killed himself trying to save her, now it's not even really her brother, it's her half-brother. So why even make the change? It was a very weird choice. And we've already done the Nephilim trope in the original trilogy. So why are we retreading that old ground? Do something new. The lexicon is the new thing. Double down on that, Joel Soisson. Fuck off. All right, so this stars Allison, the character Allison played by Carrie Werher, and there is a young version of Allison that I'm not really going to get into. Jason Scott Lee, if you guys remember Dragon, a Bruce Lee story, which was an amazing bio of Bruce Lee, the film actor and martial artist. He plays the hitman called Dylan. But he's not working for Satan. He's working for an angel who wants to stop the apocalypse, because after the apocalypse happens, and this is the whole premise of the whole movie, the lexicon is foretelling the end of Revelations, what happens at the apocalypse, how it fully comes to pass. And it actually outlines who the Antichrist is. And so this archangel is trying to get a hold of the lexicon that Allison is in protection of, trying to prevent him from getting it, because if he does get it, he's going to kill that person before he can become the Antichrist, grow up and have influence and cause Armageddon. And if he can stop Armageddon, then he's going to stop all of the humans who survive Armageddon from ascending to heaven and being the favored amongst God's creations. That's the whole thing. It's jealousy. That's the realm of the devil. So you're fucking up, angels. But that's what's so great about this, is it sort of blurs those boundaries of what's right and wrong, good and bad when it comes to angels. Because angels, and it was beautifully stated by Christopher Walken playing the Archangel Gabriel in the first film, Angels do horrible things. They murder babies. They turn whole cities to salt. Like, they are the will of God, and God is not good. God is as demonic and evil as anything. He created Satan. So this whole idea that all these ridiculous Abrahamic myth, Bronze Age following nincompoops believe, it's all predicated on a fucking lie. God is not good. First of all, he's made up. But second of all, if he was real, he's total bullshit. He's a total asshole. He's a fucking prick. Fuck you, God. That's what it comes down to. And that's what I love about this series, is that it presents God in the Old Testament light, vengeful. He gets pissed off when you don't worship him. He's a trite, jealous God who just wants to burn you down. That's what everyone believed God used to be. And so this is just paying that off, which is great. So Allison is trying to keep the Lexicon away from this archangel, and the archangel is played by Tony motherfucking Todd, Candyman himself, and a bunch of other really great films too. But I love him most for Candyman. He is the best. He is so goddamn good in that role, so romantic and just dark and handsome, and he's the fucking man. He's kind of got a little of that Candyman vibe in this, just because of the clothing and just his presence, of course. He doesn't whisper as much, but there's a lot of whispering going on. So basically, he has conscripted Dylan the hitman to kill Allison and collect the lexicon from her. And Dylan can't bring himself to kill her. He's done so many horrible things in his life that he just flat out refuses. And so he starts to help her. The archangel then kills Dylan, and then, Dylan kills himself to prevent him from having to try to kill her. And then the archangel brings him back, as we've seen in every one of these films, and to do his bidding. So he's slowly decaying and rotting, basically like a zombie. And he is still struggling and fighting with killing Allison. And part of it, I think, is because Allison is doing the will of God in this film. Like, she is doing something good. And while Dylan is the servant of an angel, the angel is doing the will of darkness and evil for selfish reasons. So it's very against sort of that New Testament view of God, as it were. The loving God. Which is a little contradictory, but still it's fun. Who gives a fuck? It's all fiction anyway. But just seeing Tony Todd as an archangel is great. He never quite lives up to his full potential as an archangel, which is what bothers me, because Tony Todd has a bit of a range in his acting. Not a lot, if we're being honest, but he has a bit of a range, and I don't feel like he really nailed it. And that could be direction, that could be script, that could be the other actors he's working off of. But it just didn't quite land as well as it should have for him being him. John Light reprises his role as Lucifer, who is in a scene. So Allison, once she realizes she's being hunted by another archangel for this lexicon, she goes back to that hell house that her parents were killed in when she was a little child in the 80s. And she's like calling out for Lucifer. She's like, help me. I need help from this archangel. And he comes in. He's like, you know what? There's nothing I can do for you. This is just what's going to happen. The ironic side of that is that this film starts with Lucifer walking up to a little girl, a little child, and he says, do you want to be an angel and deliver a message for me? Now, on the surface, it's just, do you want to be the pet name? Do you want to be an angel and tell someone something for me? What happens is he tells her to go get her basketball because she was playing with a little basketball. The basketball rolled into traffic. And so she goes over into the traffic to get the basketball and gets killed. And so she is then brought back as an angel to deliver the message. So it's a little wordplay, and it's the devil. So you're like, okay, I get it. I don't mind. You sort of buy it, and you're just going along with it. So that was actually done pretty well. But the problem is when she comes back as almost like a ghost, like a dead ghost, instead of an angel. So if you were really trying to pay off that angel line, which it seemed like you were, why are you having her come back as a dead thing? Like, have her come back as a ghost. It's a whole funeral procession in which she evades what's called the thrones, which are basically the servitors of the Archangel Stark that Tony Todd is playing. So it's just a bunch of just Romanian locals, and they can't act because they're just locals. They're just regular people, and it's unbelievable in the film. It's just, I don't know. The whole thing bothers me. I feel like if they just had a good cast, they could have really sold this. And they have some good actors in it, but not a good cast. And really, that's the whole premise: is Allison is running away from Stark with the help at times of Dylan, and Lucifer is kind of helping her understand why she's being chased without really doing a full info dump. But then once again in the third act, just like the previous film by Joel Soisson, Uprising, we get the full evil guy dump at the end, where he's like, I'm doing this because of this reason. And he just wants the pages. Give me the pages. It's the easiest thing in the world. Just give me the damn pages and I'll let you live. If you don't give me the pages, I'm going to kill you. She's like, no, I'm doing this for God and you're not listening to the word of God and blah, blah, blah. So ultimately, she gets shot by Dylan, falls off the building. All the pages go scattering to the high winds. And instead of collecting the pages, Stark, the Archangel, just does like, no! Ah! Ah! For like a full 40 seconds, which is like 30 seconds too long. It's just like camera angle of Tony Todd yelling to the sky. I'm like, dude, just fucking pick up the pages. You'll find it. It'll be okay. You're an archangel. You have infinite time and infinite patience. Just pick up the fucking pages. And meanwhile, Dylan, your zombie helper, is still alive. Have him pick up the pages. I just don't understand why he just gives up. And the last scene we get is, well, first of all, the first to last scene is the penultimate scene is Allison. She falls down and cracks her head, and she's laying on this sort of flower bed, dead, right? She's been shot. She's been stabbed in the film, but we found out she's a Nephilim, so unless you shoot them in the head or take their heart out, you can't kill them. And so we see her eyes open, and she starts to get up, and we see her father, the angel Simon, who's been talking to her the past two films, sort of like whisper to her or do like a kiss hand thing or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the mannerism was, the gesture. But ultimately, it then flashes to the final scene. So we know she's alive. The final scene is a little boy looking up at these papers floating down as if it's like propaganda from World War II or something. And he reaches up, grabs it, and it's the last page saying his name. And then you hear his mom call him, Michael, come on. And so he takes the page and he runs off. He is the Antichrist who has fulfilled the prophecy because he has read that he is the prophecy. So he'll hold on to that until he's older. We could have a whole third act of this 2-film structure of the prophecy 4 and 5 with a prophecy 6 of like an Omen 3, which was great, where we have an adult version of the Antichrist. But you put it in the prophecy universe, and now rather than just like Jesus and stuff coming back to fight him, we actually get angels battling on his side and against him. It would be very, very cool. And if you could get Christopher Walken to come back and reprise his role as Gabriel, if you could get the original Simon to come back and reprise his role, the original Lucifer to come back and reprise his role, you could have a great send-off to this entire series with 2 trilogies that pay themselves off in this universe that is just ripe to explore story-wise. It's a lost opportunity that I think Miramax could make a lot of money if they did it right. And they just spent the money on the cast that they need to pull it off. So basically, The Prophecy Uprising and Forsaken were filmed simultaneously in Bucharest, Romania. And I already walked through the plot and everything. So my favorite part of this is there's this little sequence with Lucifer and Allison in the Hell House place, the Tether, where she's asking him for help. And he's like, sits down, he's basically telling her, I'm not going to help you. This isn't my war. This is between you and your God and the angels. And he pulls out a Twinkie and he's like, I'm addicted to these things. And he just proceeds to eat a fucking Twinkie on camera. Like, that's it. And then Allison leaves. It's the best, most random what the fuck moment of any prophecy film. Satan loves a Twinkie. Okay, I dig it. I'm there for it. You got to love something. My least favorite part is the fact that, we have a whole lot of fucking, We have a whole lot of running around. It's the inconsistencies with the story. You know, the first film that this is the sequel to was set up that she was a survivor like her brother and that they were going to get the Lexicon and stop the war. So she gets the Lexicon and the war still goes on, which makes sense because she still has it and the angels still want it. But the reason why Satan got involved in the first film was because Belial was trying to go against him and get the book for himself. And so he stopped Belial in the first film. This second one, they just throw out the Nephilim thing just for fucking shits and giggles, like for no damn reason, which makes massive inconsistencies with the first film that the same guy wrote and directed. So why wouldn't you drop that tease in the first one so that it's paid off in the second one? It bothers me that they do stuff like this, you know, just bad storytelling. So because of that, I gave it 2 out of 5 evil eyes. It should probably be a 1, but again, like the last one, I like the concepts behind this 2-film duo or duology or whatever you want to call it. Not a trilogy, but duology? I don't know. These 2 films. I like the last 2 films conceptually, not in execution. So be that as it may, if you like this sort of Abrahamic war between heaven and hell, if you like the prophecy series, it's worth seeing 4 and 5. It really is. And I really wish they would come back for a 6 and just round it all out with an Omen 3 style battle. It would be amazing. It would be dope. And you don't have to copy Omen 3. I'm just using that as a reference to understand the Antichrist scenario. So anyway, that's it for my review of the Prophecy 5 Forsaken. Have you guys watched this? What do you think of the Prophecy series as a whole? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, remember the evil spelled backwards is live. So get out there and be evil. And eat Twinkies.